You forgot your frog. Oh. Oh, Tay. What's up, YouTube? What's up, everybody here as well. I don't want y'all to think that I was like, oh, dang, YouTube, I'm famous, so I don't want to talk to y'all. Like, it's not like that. Which every time Trey is on YouTube and he's like floating through all of our subscribed channels, every time I come up or the Oasis page comes up, Brooklyn always goes, Daddy on TV, Daddy on TV. I'm like, dang, I am famous. Dang, I am famous. That was the thing with Arabella for a very long time when we were not meeting, start of COVID or beginning of COVID, and everything was just online, And when we came back to church, they walked in and Arabella just looked at me like, like when little kids used to see Barney and they would just like freeze, She would just look at me like, you're a person in real life. It's pretty funny. Pretty funny. All right, chapter 3. That is where we are today. We read the beginning of chapter 3 to there's nobody like the Lord. So, holy, holy, holy transcendence. I don't know if y'all know this or have noticed, but I have been picking a lot of songs that have the word holy in it. Because it's like these are songs that we've known, but like I also, as we read, there's a thing that happens where you're like, man, it just hits different, as the kids say. It just hits different as we're reading, and then you go back and you sing these songs that you've known forever. So, yeah, get used to that. All right, transcendence. Let's talk about that first. I put the definition in the questions, and the definition of transcendent is beyond or above the range of normal or merely physical human experience, surpassing the ordinary, exceptional. And I said, does this describe how you think about God? Beyond or above the range of normal or merely physical human experience, surpassing the ordinary, exceptional. Does this describe how you think about God? Yeah. Now or before? That's what's up. Uh-huh. Yeah. That's what's up. I like that a lot. I like that a lot. What are you doing?
Everybody needs some Danny and Brooklyn.
Arabella needs some candy and Brooklyn. Yeah, I'm like, I don't think that word means what you think it means, son. It's like you need water, You need sleep. I don't think you need candy. All right, good job. Kids are crazy, man. We're discussing transcendent and the definition. You want me to read it again so you can be caught up? Transcendent, beyond or above the range of normal or merely physical human experience, surpassing the ordinary, exceptional. The question on the table is, does this describe how you think about God? I want some answers today. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Wrap your brain around. Yeah. That's good. I like when y'all talk back to me. Okay. She starts with the burning bush. And Jackie, as Fathom put it, she takes some time to get to the point. But she gets there when she gets there, you know? And this is one of those moments where we all know the story of Moses and the burning bush. But again, how she writes and the details, because I don't think I had ever, before reading this, I don't think that I had ever thought about the bush or like God not needing the bush for the fire to burn. We all like stopped at the miracle that the bush was on fire but not burning, and then that it talked to Moses. We talk about the holy ground. We talk about, all those things. But when she actually starts to break down fire and how fire legitimately needs, even in itself, fire still needs something else to be. That's crazy. It's dependent on something else. And her using the burning bush to prove the point that God is outside of the norm. She's like, yo, this fire didn't even need the bush. Could have been. It wouldn't have been any less miraculous. You know what I'm saying? It wouldn't have been any less crazy. But I love that she points that out in this story. Yeah, the reason the bush burned without being consumed here in Exodus 3 is because of who was present in it. It was the self-revelation of the transcendent God. Otherness, set apart, unique. Yeah.
Confirmation of like healing in my heart.
Mm-hmm.
Because as you know, like I used to have my like faith shattered at a point, and it was because I felt like God needed me, and that was crippling. Like He like was so demanding of my heart and my life, and I could never meet the expectation because that was like the message I was given over and over again. And so I just like walked away from Him for like a whole year or more. But this was just like confirming of like that like He doesn't depend on me, and that is
Right.
free.
Yeah.
Like a spouse that is not like toxic,
Mm-hmm.
that's free.
Yeah.
Because they are like sufficient in themselves. So like they can just like work together.
Yeah.
But like the thought of like me being the burning bush, like
Yeah.
inside me is not consuming me.
Yeah.
It's not like demanding of me and taking from me and like,
Yeah.
taking me with it away. Like, that is what it felt like.
That's crazy.
But like now coming to know Him and know that like He is like a source in His own. And so
Right.
therefore that's free. Like I don't even know how
Yeah.
like that was just so weighty to me. Like He doesn't need me.
Yeah.
I get to be a part of
Yes.
His source.
Yes.
That was just incredibly.
That's so good. Heck yeah. That's really good.
So kind of like along those lines, like this last month, man, has been super hard. I've been traveling a lot for work and all that kind of stuff, and it's just been, I'm so tired and drained. And I feel like I'm the burning bush, like that everything I'm doing is just not enough, and I don't have enough energy and all that kind of stuff. Yesterday, I had a breaking point, and I was like, God, I just need you here. I can't do this. I can't be pouring myself into somebody, when I don't have anything left. And he like showed up.
Yeah.
And like I wasn't exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
Which usually like at the end of the day I'm like dead tired, don't talk to me.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I'm ready for that.
Mm-hmm.
But like this time it was like, David and I had, really good conversations and like really healing time. And it was just amazing. So it was like, if I just like put my trust in God and have him help me,
Right.
then like I won't be exhausted.
Yeah, legitimately. Were you gonna say something? Trust in God is like one of those Christian ideas, again, that we have been taught. Like, we believe that Jesus died on the cross. We believe that he rose from the grave. We believe that he died for our sins, that he paid the price. Like, we believe that. We have no problem with that part. Like, we don't. That's why we're here on a basic level. Like, sure, yes, that's why I'm a Christian, But I feel like for so long that we have not taught people how to trust in God for just my energy during the day. And I think, unfortunately, that comes from a lack of knowing that God is legitimately concerned with your energy level during the day. Like, he's legitimately concerned with your patience so you don't go off on your kids. He's legitimately concerned that you are not so tired that you don't have patience with your kids. He's legitimately concerned about those things. And we just don't let people know that. So people don't look to him for that. And I always say, if there's anything, like, as I pastor churches and as I just live as a Christian, like, that is something that I want to show people. Like, you do not have to depend on yourself, because in trying to do that legitimately, you will always burn out every single time. It is going to suck. You're going to get to a point where you're like, I am tired, I'm done, I'm walking away, it's over. And I love that. Like, trusting in God is not just for my salvation. And now he's like, all right, cool, everybody's on your own. Like, that's not what it is. It's not Survivor. Like, it's like, we're going to make sure you get home safe. The rest of it is up to you. That is not what this is. You know what I'm saying? It's not what it is at all. And we just like put that out there. Like, yo, all right, we got you here. You're saved. You're part of the body. You're a child. He loves you. Good luck. Don't sin. And then people are just stuck trying to, like you said, I'm withering away. I feel like I'm being crushed by this otherworldly thing. But we never take the time to tell people, yo, because he is apart from everything else, because he is legitimately the source, tap into that. Tap into that every single day. People always say, how? How do I do it? How do I do it? I'm like, literally, it's in every time you have to make a decision. Ask God about it. And 9 times out of 10, you are going to tell him that's not what you want to do, which is the crazy part. Like, we know where and how we should go and be. We just don't like where and how we should go and be. And so then that's where the fight comes, yada, 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 so on and so forth. And then because I'm trying to do it myself, now it feels tiring, so on and so forth, yada, yada, yada. But even in my obedience to God, even in my obedience and my coming back to him, that's what the Holy Spirit is there for, to legitimately help me do that. It's the coolest thing. It is legitimately the coolest thing. Like, and I keep coming back to the first commandment that she pointed out. God says, thou shalt have no other gods before me, not because he is selfish and not because he, is arrogant and like, I run the show. No, he just knows that nothing else will satisfy whatever it is that you crave. Nothing else. He knows that for a fact. And so if that is the case, here we are again, coming back to that. I have to then trust that if I come back to him, the Holy Spirit is going to help me come back to him. There is literally nothing else in the whole world that will say, this is the standard. Let me help you get to the standard. right? Nothing else. I don't care what it is. There is nothing else that says this is the standard. And now let me help you every single moment of every day keep the standard. How compassionate is that? Is the belief. That's it. That's the only effort, man. So we talked about it, and Courtney pointed this out. We talked about what would it be like, or have you ever thought what it would be like to have a clean heart always? Simon and Riss were like, exhausting. I got to keep turning cheeks. I got to keep giving to people. No. You know what I'm saying? People are the worst. No thanks, you know? But Courtney pointed out more than what I have to give. When I actually have that clean heart like Jesus does, which again is something that he's going to give me, I now look at people and my heart is broken. I've been using that word so much in the last 6 months. It's been weird because I'm like, yo, you fine, whatever, do whatever you want to do. But now, as Jesus changes who I am, you legitimately have this sorrow that the Father has that people don't want to choose the one thing that will forever keep them satisfied. It's heartbreaking. You are now heartbroken when you see somebody that doesn't have all the things that you may have or be worse off. And that's the things we can actually see. I go, as a pastor, I would not put this on anybody. The actual spiritual weight. You know how many times a day I go, Lord, when do people just see you for who you are? And from that, then they just do because you're the best thing ever. When do they see that? Because it's starting to drive me crazy that people don't see it, Jesus. And then he goes, but Rafer, boom, 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 boom. It's like, oh, okay, I see. Okay, my bad. You're okay, cool. And just being there, coming back to him, it's the coolest thing looking at it from like this perspective. It's the coolest thing. And I really hope that it has changed. Were you raising your hand to say something? I was like, okay. I was like, jump in. I'll be quiet. But I really love that we are looking at it from this standpoint. I was talking to my mom yesterday. She said, Jackie wrote this book with a crayon sitting in Jesus's lap. And she said, it's like she just socks you in the chest and then gives you a big old God hug. And I was like, yeah, that's exactly how you feel. Like, you didn't have to say it like that. But also, I'm so glad that you said it like that because, and people keep saying, it's freeing. I feel so much more free now that I actually know who the Father is. That's so tight. Okay, moving on. I love that. On page 65, she was talking about Isaiah asked the question, who has directed the Spirit of the Lord, or who gave him counsel? Who did he consult? Who gave him understanding and taught him the paths of justice? Who taught him knowledge and showed him the way of understanding? And she says, think about that. And she goes into everything that we know as human beings. Can you go check that, Jeremiah, please? Thank you. I'm like, that wasn't normal. Yeah. But she goes and says, everything that we know as human beings, we have had to learn it. And God hasn't had to be taught anything. And again, one of those comforting things, like, man, because as much as I have learned, I don't know anything. Who was it that says that? But it's like, they say, like, essentially, the more I know, the more I realize I don't know anything. I think it's No Big Deal in Willie. He says, wise man knows he don't really know nothing. Like, man, yes, you're right. Like, that is so true. But I love that she points that out. She said, through your parents' guidance, your teacher's teaching, your eyes watching, your studious studying, etc., you were able to do what all humans have to do, learn. With God, however, he never needed instruction at any point in time or before it. And if he did, from where would he have gotten it? That's tight. That's heavy. Okay. And this brings us to our next question. On page 66, at the top, she says, God is altogether separate and not set apart to the degree that he is unreachable or unknowable, but separate from us in that he exists differently than us. Okay. God is altogether separate and not set apart to the degree that he is unreachable or unknowable, but separate from us in that he exists differently than us. Does that bring you relief or something else? Was the question.
For me, it does.
Yeah.
Like he's closer
Mm-hmm.
than it did before.
Yeah.
I know before I was like, I couldn't comprehend how to just to talk to him. Like,
Yeah.
I always struggled with praying.
Mm-hmm.
Just because for me, like he's God, he's busy.
Yeah.
For me, and like I've been blessed to have like great parents. That
Yeah.
love me, and then, but then as I got older, I recognized inside that I needed to talk to him.
Yeah.
And he called me out in a prayer one time. He's like, "You need to talk to me more, son." I'm like, "I guess I will."
I love that.
So, but it just reading this book so far, it's made me like feel closer to him.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. Anybody else?
Sense of curiosity.
Yeah.
Wanting to know more.
Mm-hmm.
See how else he is different from us.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah. I'm here for that. I got a little tidbit on that. Thank you for the segue. I think we tend to live in, unfortunately, again, that we live in this, like, God is closer than a brother, like he's your friend. Abraham was a friend of God. You can be a friend of God. He's holy. Don't talk to him ever again, you guys. Don't mess this up, And so then, like the kid, when they go to touch the stove and it's hot, we're like, no, 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 no. What does the kid do? Forever, they walk into the kitchen. They're like, it's hot, Dad. It's hot. I'm not going to touch it. It's hot. It's like, well, it's not on, But we hang on to the part where we're like, God is so holy and untouchable, so don't even try to touch him. But then you're also told, hey, man, he's the best thing ever of all time. So just live it up with him, Have a good time. You'll be fine. But what we hang on to is the extreme far side of he's so holy. And legitimately, like she just said, he is separate, not that he is untouchable or unknowable, but he is just separate, that he exists different from us. And again, that's what this word holy was or is. He's just set apart. And as we started to look at that and understand that, your curiosity is piqued, because now I'm like, oh, I don't have to be this like strict, quiet, cold. No, it's just that he's set apart because he is different from how we would normally do and how we would normally be, which again should be a relief. What's up? She was like, y'all came to my party? But again, it's a relief that he does live or exist different from us. Because we all know, first and foremost, how crazy we are in our own heads. Right? Right? And further, we all know other people are crazy and crazier than my crazy, because at least I understand my crazy, kind of. I don't understand you're crazy at all. Like, how did you even get here your whole life? You know what I'm saying? That's where we live, you know? And so then to see that God exists differently than us, not just away from us, is huge. Because now it's like, oh man, I can do that. I actually, not only do I want that, but I want to give that to other people. So then when Jesus says, love the Lord your God with all that you have, and then love your neighbor as yourself, it actually is that much easier to do because I actually know who God is and how he is. Because I know how he treats me, and I'm like, dang, everybody should feel this. Everybody should feel this. But no, we stand as Christians going, I am holy, so I cannot. It's like, where did that accent come from? I am sorry that I cannot hang out with you tonight because I am holy. Like he don't even talk like that, you know? Who are you? But I go, now it shows me legitimately, again, because we are made in the image of God. This is so much good. My brain is just going like everywhere and keeps tying all the things back together. And it's like, this was the purpose of it from the beginning. God wants to do this with Adam and Eve. God wants the whole world to be like this. God chooses the Israelites so that they can do this to the rest of the world. And for generations on generations on generations, we've missed it, man. Over and over and over again, we've missed it. And it's like literally God just wants to have quality relationship with us. It's so tight. Right. That's so good.
If you don't know Jesus, like you cannot give that to somebody else. So
Mm-hmm.
relation of him exists with
Yeesh.
that he is untouchable and unknowable.
Bruh.
Because that's what we understand.
I don't preach. You want to write a book? Last week I said we should write our own book because everybody was preaching last week. I was like, dang, we're going to write our own book. That's so good, man. Oh, speaking of definitions on 66, sorry. Definitions of God's holiness have often been wrapped around the moral perfection of God, something that we explored in the last chapter, which, as we've seen, isn't excluded from the meaning, but also not exclusive of it either. When it comes to our definition of God's holiness, we'd be right to include God's righteousness, but alongside that is God's otherness. R.C. Sproul said this: when the Bible calls God holy, it means primarily that God is transcendentally separate. He is so far above and beyond us that he seems almost totally foreign to us. To be holy is to be other, to be different in a special way. And then she says, it seems to me that highlighting the ethical implications of what holy means and not giving due diligence to the transcendental nature of the term, theologians have made room for our understanding of holiness to be too narrow, eliminating a measure of awe and potentially additional reasons to be faithful. Do you think that that is true? Because that's good stuff. Talk to me. Yeah. It seems to me that highlighting the ethical implications of what holy means and not giving due diligence to the transcendental nature of the term, theologians have made room for our understanding of holiness to be too narrow, eliminating a measure of awe and potentially additional reasons to be faithful. That's crazy. That's tight. Does anybody else want to say anything? Because I have a lot that I want to say. Also, this is a group forum, so I want to leave it. Go ahead, Ben.
For me, growing up in Mormon, like, I understand that, but
Mm-hmm.
we were taught a certain way
Yeah.
to get back to heaven.
Mm-hmm.
And we had certain things we had to do
Yeah.
to get there that we couldn't drink, we couldn't smoke.
Yeah. You couldn't drink tea?
Oh, yeah, like no caffeine, bro.
Really? Oh, snap.
So growing up, it was hard for it as a kid.
No. What?
Like caffeine and stuff.
Dang.
And
I did not know that until right now. That was
like when
mind
you
blowing.
made mistakes, you felt guilty in that.
Right.
You're a member of the Mormon church. And it just got like to the point where when I was an adult, I was like, there's more religions, and
Mm-hmm.
you can't tell me that our religion is the only one that's true.
Mm-hmm.
Because Jesus, like the teachings of Jesus, who said that he's the only way.
Mm-hmm.
So you're telling me that if so-and-so believes in Jesus, that he's not going to make it to heaven because he's not doing what our religion is teaching
Mm-hmm.
us. So it just made me question everything.
Yeah.
I was like, I stopped going to church for like a couple of years, and then I built up my relationship with God.
Yeah.
And I came here and feel like I'm at home now.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
It relates this and God to friendships that we're seeking as well.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has friends that you're more friends with because you're scared of them. But if you do, if there's not bad about you, we'll start remembering your friends just because you're always out of fear.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like growing up, that's how God was, who you follow, you were fearful. But instead, it's like the friendships in college and the adult life where it's those infectious friends that
Yeah.
you have such a cheery disposition that you want to be around them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we should want to be around God, is because He is holy and wonderful. He wants the best. for
Yeah.
us. If those friends that really hold you up, it's tear you down.
It is. And I think one thing that she says in this statement is that we have like eliminating a measure of awe and potentially additional reasons to be faithful. That part about God being so other or so above or being so separate is what's the word I'm looking for? I just keep seeing like the bug being pulled to the light, you know? It's like it's mesmerizing. You're just like, I want more of this. Yeah, it's magnetic. It's just like you're just like drawn in. And again, this is something that we don't talk about in churches, unfortunately. Right? And we don't, because we don't give this picture of God, people aren't drawn in. People don't see that. People don't feel that. And further, we as Christians don't give that because we cannot give something we don't have. We can't give something that we don't understand or something we don't see. So then we try to go tell people, hey, man, you should come to my church. And they're like, you're a douchebag. Why would I come to your church? No, you're the worst. Why would I go to church with you, sir douchebag? No, thank you. But if you flip the script and you are actually living in the relationship with God, He's going to put that thing on you so that others now see it. And then they are now drawn to the Jesus in you. And again, this is something that we talk about all the time, but we put it on, hey, you got to go be like Jesus. And so then what do? We cower down because I messed up, I'm not perfect, so on and so forth. So then what do? We start making classes to give people note cards so they can read off the note card how to talk to people about Jesus. Crazy, right?
It's literally what you say, maybe the understanding of holiness at two things.
Yes.
Well, I think a lot of that is like the simplicity of the English language.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Bible that we read
Mm-hmm.
was not the Bible as it was written.
Right.
And like the simplicity of the word holy, like, you know, and the word love,
Mm-hmm.
things like that. There are several different ways that those things should come across.
Right.
But we just read it as love.
Correct.
We read it as holy.
Mm-hmm.
So like that true understanding narrow.
Mm-hmm.
It's because really our language
Yeah.
is narrow. And
Mhm.
we didn't necessarily live that.
Right.
We're reading it as a story of like,
This is my favorite
this is
conversation.
just a word.
Right.
And compared to having an understanding of what those words were actually written as,
Mm-hmm.
to be like, oh wow, this is deep.
Yeah. Yes.
This is not just love. This is not just like
Correct.
holy,
Mm-hmm.
this is transcending.
Mhm.
This is something completely different than that one little word that we're reading.
Yes. Which is why, and I said a couple weeks ago, love is love can't be a true statement within itself because everybody has some different version of what that looks like. So we have to come to what was the actual, when we say God is love, everybody reads that and they take something different from it because, again, of English, which is why I love having a good keyword study Bible. So as we walk through John or whatever it is, and we keep looking up this word love that Jesus keeps saying over and over again, and we see that the definition runs for 3 pages and it's tiny print, and you're like, oh, snap. This is a lot more than I realized. And it is so cool when you actually start to look at what God intended and you see how big it is and you see how, again, you have this Isaiah or Peter moment where it's like, I am not even worthy to be near any of this, but I want more because this is awesome. This is awesome. Please make me, like, it becomes a thing. Please make me like that. Please make me like that. That's crazy. Gosh, that's cool. Please make me like that. Because I know I'm not that. And it's cool to know that you just want me to be that without any pretense. And you're going to show me how to be that by just being that to me. That's super tight. Does anybody else think that's super tight? Is that super tight? I'm freaking out. Okay. So she said, returning to the bush that wouldn't burn. How is God's transcendence observable? Because of the fact the plant was able to remain intact. And so then she goes on talking about fire and how fire needs the bush as its fuel for its life. And that is what made God in that moment transcendent. God did not need the bush for the fire to burn. That's crazy. I love Survivor. I watch it. Like, man, Wednesday nights, I'm like, am I going to stay up tonight to watch it? Because it gets to the app at 10:15. But then that means I'm up till 11. So if I'm feeling froggy, I stay up. But anyway, number 1, Jeff Probst always says, first time people go to tribal council in this game, goes grab a torch, get fire. In this game, fire represents your life. When your fire is gone, so are you. And so they always have to make fire, And so like her talking about fire, I was like, yes, I understand this so well. Because when they get voted out, he puts the thing on the fire and it takes away the oxygen. Fire needs oxygen to burn. You take the oxygen out, boom, no more fire. And we think about fire again, you think about fire and you're like, man, it's this big thing that just does. It just goes and it goes and it goes. With wildfires, they can't contain it. Yada, yada, yada. They're burning so much acres, burning all this, yada, yada, all this stuff. And we just kind of see fire as this thing that destroys. But in reality, it is actually something that needs something else to be. That's tight. And she's saying God doesn't need anything. All he needs is himself. That's tight. Top of 68. That God is the epitome of independence. He is free in the truest sense of the word, meaning he is free from the need of anything else but himself for him to be. And this is one fundamental difference between everything and God, because what is there to name that isn't dependent on something or someone for its life? Dependence is creaturely. Yeesh. Dependence is creaturely. Everything that is needs something outside of itself to both begin and continue. And you know what my brain went to first? The ocean. Because again, we look at something like the ocean and it's so automated. It's so like it's just doing its own thing. Who's in control of the ocean? But it's like for the ocean to have to become, it needed to be created. The ocean just wasn't there. You know what I'm saying? That's crazy. The sun just wasn't there. And there are these big things that we just take for granted as like, oh, it's so big, it's doing its own thing over there, but it needed something to make it be what it is. That's so tight. That is it's so cool to me. Jesus is tight, man. This is crazy. Yeesh. What else? He's self-existing. Oh, let's talk about this. Okay, top of 69. She says, let us create anything and we need assistance. A writer needs a paper or a MacBook, not to mention a mind with memories given and ordained by someone other than chance. God only needs himself. As God, he is not dependent on his creation to do anything. He is distinct from it, and therefore he can never be controlled, challenged, or intimidated by it. He cannot be controlled, challenged, or intimidated by it. So there was a time I read, and it's up on the shelf, The Forgotten Way by Ted Decker. He is a Christian fiction author who decided to write a devotional. I was like, what's the Christian word for like you do the thing every day in the book? Devotional. Don't laugh at me. I'm a normal person, guys, all right? Y'all know what I was trying to, anyway. So he wrote this devotional, 21 days, and I think maybe the first or the second day, he has you do this like essentially like a contemplative, imagine you're here, so on and so forth. And so on the first or second day, you're in this castle and he paints this picture. You're in this castle and you're sitting at this massive table with God the Father. Food, everything you want, right there. Boom, right? And he goes, you start to hear horses, all these guys yelling. You go to the window, you see all these bad guys charging the castle. And he goes, naturally, you turn and you go, God, what are we going to do? They're coming to get us. And he said, God turns to you and says, they cannot harm me, and so they cannot harm you. Come, join me at the table. That changed my whole everything. He cannot be intimidated by anything. Literally, that thing right there changed the game for me. If God cannot be intimidated by it, that means that nothing that comes my way is too big for him to handle. So like the whole thing where it's like, that's between you and Jesus, that's where that started. I would legitimately pray on Sundays at the Vine, God, you are not intimidated by anything. And because you are not intimidated by anything, I am not afraid of what comes my way. I can trust you that much because nothing scares you, nothing surprises you, nothing catches you off guard. Yeesh. Because everything that is here, he had a hand in making it. The only way that my son can overpower me, one, I'm a human being, but two, is if he did enough to make his body stronger than mine. But because I created him, like, there are times where I see my son thinking about what he's about to do. No, stop. And he's like, what? I saw it. Brooklyn, we got this little like cleaning set, broom, mop, dustpan, all that. She took the base that everything hangs on. Trey's sitting in front of her watching TV. They're watching TV. And she went, and she picked it up, and I said, stop. Because I can see what you're doing. I can see your brain thinking. I know you enough to know so you don't surprise me. You can't catch me off guard. And that is the coolest thing. Everything that God has created, nothing can challenge him or intimidate him. Nothing. Let that change your whole life, please. If nothing can intimidate the Father, and I'm his kid, what is there to be afraid of? If literally, and again, these are things that we say, we believe, every knee will bow, every tongue will confess. We know that. For someone to bow down is to legitimately put yourself in probably the most vulnerable position. And so if everything has to put itself in the vulnerable position, why wouldn't I trust God? And why would I let anything else interfere with me trusting God? That's crazy. That is crazy. Nothing intimidates him. Yeah, if you skip past that, if we kept reading, you'd skip past it. She talks about for every sea in the world, twisted itself into a hurricane, tall enough to meet the clouds, wide enough to cover 1,000 cities. Its knees would still bow and eventually break at God's command, be still. Everything. Yeesh. This happens so fast. Okay, on page 70, and we'll wrap up. We're at 47 minutes, just in case y'all didn't know. It's like it just went fast. It's like, what happened? Where did the time go, Tozer said, to admit the existence of a need in God is to admit incompleteness in the divine being. Need is a creature word and cannot be spoken of the Creator. God has a voluntary relation to everything he has made, but he has no necessary relation to anything outside of himself. His interest in his creatures arises from his sovereign good pleasure, not from any need those creatures can supply, nor from any completeness they can bring to him who is complete in himself. Does that change your perspective of the Father?
There's no obligation, there's no suffocation.
Right.
You don't need me, and you don't require these things of me to attain status.
Right. Yeah. It's humbling that he just wants to relate. He just wants to be in relationship. He doesn't need me. He just wants to be in relationship. I'm gonna tell y'all right now, I need Jenny all the time. Like, please do not leave me, and don't leave me with these kids. Like, if you're gonna go, take the kids, If you're gonna go, just take it all, But we all know what it feels like to need. Trey, Arabella and Brooklyn need candy. We know what it's like to need. You know what I'm saying? We know what it's like to need. And I think we tend to, again, image God in our image. Okay, check this out. This is crazy. And this is what Satan does. Not in your normal, Satan is attacking me. Oh man, Lord, come help me. No, not like that. Satan just takes what is and just twists it a little bit, right? So he takes our natural needs and he just says, hey, like he did with Eve in the garden. Did he really say that? Will you really die? And so it starts there, right? You need things. God has to need something. He has to need something. And we don't even see that immediately now the trajectory of our relationship with him has gone a different way. And so now, again, I become the one that has to be transcendent. I'm the one that has to be holy. I'm the one that has to present perfection. I'm the one that has to, all these things come from the simple thing of, well, you have needs. You're made in his image, so he has a need. That's crazy, right? You're made in his image, so if you have needs, he has needs. He needs you to do this. And we just walk around. I'm a soldier in the Lord's army, and the one person we're fighting is ourselves. Ourself that's standing with God for real. We're like, no, you guys don't get it. I got to do this. And it sets us up. But then, again, we wouldn't admit out loud that God has a need. We wouldn't say that. No. But my actions will line me up with that. I got to do. And again, don't get me wrong. There is a sense of duty and there's a sense of pride in doing for the Father. But it does not come from me. It comes from my love for him and what he gave me. That makes sense? Not even that I owe him, just that he's so good and so amazing and so tight. Of course. I was like Jenny the other night. Hey, are you doing anything tonight? No. Do you want to give the kids a bath or clean the kitchen? And I said, babe, just ask me what you want me to do. Because at the end of the day, I'm going to do whatever you want me to do. I love you to death. I'm going to do for you because of your love for me, not because I have no. I just love you. So if there's anything that I am doing, is you are going to come before what I am doing because I love you. And again, we don't share this side of who God is. He just wants to be in relationship. Rich said it so well. He doesn't need me, and that's awesome. It's like it's having the kids, and you just want them to sit there and watch TV with you, but instead they want you to get them a snack every 6 minutes while the last snack is still sitting there. It's like, I don't actually even want you to need me, children. I just want to be in relationship with you. Let's just be here together. And kids are like, no, fruit snacks. Can you open up the Oreos? Can you do this? Can you do this? Can you do this? And as a parent, you're like, I just want to be. I just want to hold you and kiss your head just for you to turn around and be like, no more kisses, Daddy. I should punch you in your face. No more kisses. You don't catch all these kisses because your mom don't want to catch all the kisses all the time. So you're going to catch all these kisses. But just be in relationship with me. Just be here with me. That's all I want. Because I know my kids can't provide anything for me. They can't do anything for me. Let this dude get a driver's license, though, and he sure will be making me grilled cheeses and going to the store to get the stuff. Then the game changes a lot. I can't wait for that. People are like, get a dog. I'm like, a dog will never drive to the store and go grocery shopping, come home, and make me lunch. You know what I'm saying? A kid is not going like, no. I mean, a dog won't drive. They're loyal. I want a sandwich. I want a sandwich. I don't want loyalty. I want a sandwich. Neither here nor there. Neither here nor there. Neither here nor there. That's just me. Neither here nor there. I want relationship. See? 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 Just one time. Trey just started. So thankful. But we're about to enter. Anyway. He is relational, and everything that he has created, he exists outside of it and only wants to be relational to it. So it's that much cooler when Jesus says, consider the birds of the air, consider the lilies of the field. What is a flower going to do for Jesus? What is a flower going to do for the Father? Nothing. And he's like, dang, you are awesome. Let me take care of you. In the middle of nowhere. Who taking care of flowers in the middle of nowhere? The Father is. He don't need it. It's just nice to have. It's just pretty. And it's the same with us, man. He doesn't need this. But relationship, as other as he is, as big as he is, as separate as he is, he's just there saying, yo, come close into the separateness. Let me give you this separateness. Let me give you this love. Let me give you this righteousness. Let me give you this joy, this peace, the fruit of the Spirit. Let me give you all the things that you're actually looking for yourself. That's crazy. That's tight. Anything else before we close? Yeesh. Mm-hmm.
It brings, like, his otherness is set apartness, like, brings so much freedom, hope, and curiosity into it.
Mm-hmm. You know what it's like? It's like becoming an adult and then you realize that your parents are people. That's what this is like right now. It's like, oh, we had this idea where like, give me snacks, get me snacks, Dad, please. But then you grow up and you're like, oh, snap. My parents aren't this. They are this. They are not this. They are this. Like, there's so much depth and nuance now to my parents. And I feel like we're walking through this process where it's like, oh, there's so much depth and nuance to the Father. And this is where you see a lot of adults go, oh, yeah, either one, me and my parents are great now because I understand why they were the way they are. Or two, I have cut them off because they are not who I thought they were at all. This is not a good time. But we're standing here and we are becoming the kids who are growing up going, oh, I actually want this with the Father. I want this relationship. This is getting cooler and cooler by the page. I want more of this. That's super tight. All right. We're going to go into the holy place. YouTube. We'll see y'all next week. Don't let the bed bugs bite. Hope y'all had a good time. Peace out.